despite how big Cricinfo is and ESPN is, and the traffic that is generated out of the US. And again, to go back to your original point about like how is there only one person, and you come in and you were the third person. I guess technically it was me, then Cahill, then you, right? And how are there only three people supporting the operation out of the US? And why is there only one US correspondent for Cricinfo, or one person at the time covering US cricket, period? Because even though India is generating the most traffic for Cricinfo, USA is generating the second most traffic. A lot of people don't know this. USA and England are always neck and neck in terms of who generates the second most traffic for Cricinfo. But where is that traffic going? What are the pages those people are clicking on? If USA was providing the second most traffic to Cricinfo and all that traffic was going to the USA national team page, I would be making 2 to 3 times as much money. I would be one of the highest paid people at Cricinfo because everybody would be coming to read my stuff. The reality is the people out of the US who supply all the traffic out of the US in terms of the geo-targeted traffic, they're not clicking on the USA national team page. They're all clicking on India stories, England stories, Pakistan stories, West Indies stories. They're not coming to the USA page. They're not coming to read about Stephen Taylor or Ali Khan or Monak Patel or Tim Roy Allen or anybody else in recent memory. Everybody who comes from the US to go to Cricinfo is clicking on Virat Kohli, MS Dhoni, Babar Azam, Joe Root, Chris Gale. That's where all the traffic is going. And so there's a bit of a misleading stat within that.
Yeah, it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way, I think. And I'm sure that, like, I don't know if you know, or if they would even release it or whatever. I'm very curious to know, like, what the viewership of the televised USA matches were. Like, I would have liked to have watched it, but like lately, or while they were still playing test matches, I've been waking up with Penelope at like 7 o'clock in the morning, and we've been catching all of the England tests. And I don't know, she loves it. It's great. She just chills on the couch and watches cricket, and she thinks it's an awesome time, which is great for me. So like that's easy for me, but like I wasn't gonna stop what I was doing to watch a USA game only because like it's not like top level cricket, and like there are more important things that I had to do than that. Had I been in a position where I was like hanging out and that was on, I definitely would have watched it, but it wasn't like appointment viewing for me. But I'm very curious to see how many people, or if they would even, I'd be curious to know. I'd like to know how many people watched it. And if there's any like relevant traffic data, if they put anything up on YouTube or like their apps or like whatever, I'd be interested to know.
Based on previous streams that have been available for free on YouTube, my guess would be somewhere in the 1,000 to 2,000 range. And that's,
I mean, they did some promotion,
yeah.
And like assuming that they have like some viewership for the minor league, like, it was different, I think. This time, I have never seen any promo for any USA streaming. The advertising on Willow is garbage, but like, I'm sorry, but it was decent promo stuff as far as like Willow is concerned for USA streaming matches. So I thought that was cool. I don't know. I mean, I'd like to know because it doesn't have to be that way. And I mean, like, I might get in trouble for saying this. The dude that hit 6 sixes the other day,
Jaskaran Malhotra.
Why on earth does he have an India grip on his bat? Seriously, that is like the central premise. That is the problem. That is the cricket culture problem with the United States. It's like they only look at Joe Root or Kohli or Dhoni or like, they're big mega stars, but like they want to be somewhere else. All these guys that are playing club cricket for the whatever country 11, like, come on, guys. Like, why are we doing this? Like, this is actually silly.
I find it very, very fascinating that you bring this up, because when he hit the 6 sixes and he's in the middle of batting, and I think it was actually before then, it was when he got to his 100 and he raises his bat and the camera's on him, and then when he gets to 150 during the over that he hit the 6 sixes, I noticed it, and I remember messaging somebody. To your point, I just found
it's telling. It's extremely telling of the current like cultural crisis we have in the United States cricket. Everyone's got their eye somewhere else. Everyone wants to be Hayden Walsh Jr. and fuck off to the West Indies.
What message does it send? Like you said, the thing is, I noticed it. I mean, I'm watching it, and you can see Jaskaran's bat. It's the Indian tricolor. He's got a bat grip that's orange, white, and green. Okay, for people who are not watching this, and I noticed it because, again, I'm covering U.S. national team. This is a USA national team player, and of all the things that you associate with Americana, the jersey itself, red, white, and blue. And it is a very stark contrast when you see somebody wearing red, white, and blue who then has a bat grip That's the Indian tricolor. And I messaged somebody at the time I knew who was watching the match, and I said, was it just me who noticed this, or did you see this too? And they said, yeah, no, I noticed it too. And he said, like, well, it's not ideal.
To be fair, this is my take on the situation. Like at the club cricket level or like whatever, that's fine. It's fine. It's literally, it is just a bat grip. But like when you're representing your country, which is what was happening, and to be fair, I didn't see it until like I didn't watch the game. I think from the stream, it's kind of difficult to tell, or at least like the highlights that I watched, like I didn't pick it out then. And I saw the photo of him by the scorecard before I saw anything else. That's when I noticed it. And I even tweeted about it. And I was like, someone is going to, like, you have pride in your heritage. Obviously, this is not what that's about. But
No,
like
no,
when
no,
you're
100%. And just to cut in here, like, hey, it's a free country and he's got pride in his roots. I fully support that. And by all means, nobody's going to take anything away from the fact that he's got Indian roots, Indian heritage. He's migrated to the US. And so some part of him is always going to be associated with India. Having said that, when I was growing up playing sports, whether it was town league, rec league, or representing high school or anything else, I wore my school's colors, whatever they were. And that's what I represented. And I was fully invested in that. And if I were representing USA, whether it's cricket or any other sport, as an Italian American, okay, let's say if it's cricket, I can't imagine I would ever walk out with a bat grip with the red, green, and white of the Italian flag on my bat grip, being an Italian American. I'm fully invested in red, white, and blue. And so seeing somebody else do that, not only does it send a message to other people involved in the American cricket community, but it sends a message to everybody else out there too, outside of the U.S. national team. Well, this player we're coming up against in another team, is this guy really invested in the team? Or, what does this say about the team culture that this guy on a very visible stage has something very, very symbolic that contradicts the team he's supposed to be representing? I just found it's not something I would have done. Hey, if he wants to do it, more power to him. But I think it sends the wrong message. I agree.
It's like such a little thing, except for I am fully cognizant of like it's a symptom of the larger problem, and like I'm fully cognizant of the larger problem. I wonder if maybe no one even thought about it besides us, maybe us two and the person that you text or message. Like maybe we're the three people on the planet that noticed it. But like if you're gonna try to professionalize and like grow like a professional game in the United States, and even like a high level amateur game, like that's the kind of stuff that you gotta know about.
Well, this goes back to like, kind of the previous conversation we had, where the person I messaged was talking about this is also a born and raised American, like you, like me, okay? And so I think these things stick out to us more from that being raised in that mindset and with that background, just growing up in America. Whereas when I've had these conversations with people who are Indian immigrants, specifically, who are all part of the U.S. cricket culture, going back to the previous conversation we had in the first episode about, do you understand why it's problematic when I show up to a cricket ground and you guys are all talking in Hindi or Gujarati and I'm excluded from the conversation? And they're like, oh, we didn't mean to offend you, or we didn't mean to exclude you. It's just, this is what we're comfortable doing because we're friends with each other, blah, 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 blah. Why is that a problem? And it's, well, if you don't recognize the problem, then I don't know how to help you, because it is a problem. This is not just an American issue. In my book, Inside the Selection Room, I interviewed, it's not just about Ali Khan for people who haven't bought it or haven't read it. The book is not just about Ali Khan's journey. It's about all the players who went to the 2015 ICC America's Combine in Indianapolis, and kind of the struggles that each player goes through, the ones who made it, the ones who didn't make it to the initial squad, and then onto the CPL. And some of the ones who went to the CPL kind of fell off the radar afterwards, and the ones who didn't get to the CPL or didn't make the squad to go to Trinidad, actually, it was a source of inspiration for them to push harder and kick on. And you were there. I interviewed you for the book. You were part of the book.
I did not know that.
But you're in it. Well, now I know you haven't bought the book.
Well, where can I buy the book, Peter?
It's on Amazon. You can get it on Amazon.com. But anyway, one of the players, Lautaro Musiani, Argentinian, who had one of the most gut-wrenching experiences for people who, again, haven't read the book. It's worth buying for reading a lot of people's stories, but his is very everyman, I would say. It's something that if you're a cricketer, club level, regional level, national level, international level, anybody can identify with his experience, because unlike being a superstar or turning into a superstar like Ali Khan or one of the other players who went to the CPL, like Tim Roy Allen. He's somebody who everybody can identify with because he travels further than anybody to get to the combine in Indianapolis. He travels all the way from Argentina, travels something like 35, 40 hours on a couple different flights. And he comes to Indianapolis, has spent so much time and worked so hard to get there, to get his chance to try and make it to the combined ICC America squad to go to the Super 50. And what happens? He gets run out second ball. And, when I interviewed him afterwards for the book, he says, he had this existential moment, like, why do I play cricket? What was the point of me coming here? Which a lot of people experience. You go out to a Saturday, you spend the whole week building up to your cricket match, and you get out for his ball, or you get out for duck, and then you spend 7 hours doing nothing. Why did you come? But one of the things he said, to get back to the original point, was that even more than that, the second ball duck and having traveled, that wasn't the worst part of the experience for him. It was being an outsider and being almost unintentionally excluded, because he's there and he's a native Spanish speaker, but he speaks English, and he's coming expecting everybody else is going to speak English. So he'll have at least a common language that he'll be able to share and communicate and take part in all these experiences with the other players. And he's saying he felt very, very offended and left out, and he felt it was very disrespectful when he's there trying to communicate in English with the other players and the coaches, and yet certain coaches who were there, including his own coaches, when the teams were divided up, they're speaking in Hindi or they're speaking in another language to other players around him. And he's saying, what am I? Am I the run to the litter? What are you saying? And, why aren't you communicating in a language that all of us can understand? And it was, again, he says, rude and disrespectful. And I don't disagree with him. But again, you bring that up then with the coaches who are of Indian heritage. And the reaction is, oh, I had no idea I was being disrespectful, or I had no idea I was being offensive or being exclusive, or not really including him, or behaving in a way that would make him feel not included. There comes a point, though, when I don't think you can continue to call it naivety or being oblivious to it. After a certain point, you can't be so consumed in yourself that you are not aware of the other people around you that are not feeling welcome and the message that sends. And so, Lautaro experienced it as somebody who came into the U.S. as part of the combined trial, but I know plenty of other people. I hear this a lot from West Indian players of West Indian heritage who are American born and raised, or players of West Indian heritage who are born in Jamaica, Guyana, or elsewhere, who come into a team. They hear the Asian players speaking in Urdu or Hindi or Gujarati, and it's not a very welcoming atmosphere to be a USA national team player when that's the environment you're in. So whether it's by spoken word or by symbolic action, going back to what you said about the bat grip, like you said, it points to a larger systemic issue with U.S. cricket culture where there is not a feeling of unity. And again, it's free country. You can do what you want. But if the national administrators are making noises about wanting to unite the cricket community, that was one of the mission statements for the ICC, to unite everybody and bring everybody together and advance cricket going forward and invest in grassroots. You can say all those things, but then having outward projection where symbolically or verbally you're doing something else on the field or in the cricket ground, it contradicts that. You can have your private cricket club. You can run your cricket club as whatever you want if you've got a private cricket club. But if you're going back to one of the points we made, where you've got this feeling of discrimination in the U.S., where again sometimes it's not even good enough to be Indian. If you're not Gujarati, or you're not Tamil, or you're not Punjabi, or you're not Telugu or Hyderabadi, you're not welcome. That's not going to help the overall mission of trying to forward the game in the country if there's always going to be parochial factions organized in such a way, and it goes from local level all the way up to the national team.
I think overall, like, the state of cricket in the United States, it's like so self-serving for expats that moved away from wherever they moved from, and they just want to play cricket again. And like, that's good for them. And like, I want them to play cricket, obviously, because like cricket's an excellent game, and it's like, it's more than just a sport. It's like a language for us to communicate through, and it's great. But there is like literally the amount of people that have like a forward eye on like actually growing the game or building something in the country is like minuscule, like so small. Like, not even like a proper fraction of players or administrators in the country. And for a country that has done like a lot of excellent things to just like continue to fail in this regard, even through at least well-intentioned like efforts to counter that, to continually fail in the same ways over and over and over again. I don't actually understand. You would have think that like we would have succeeded by now, because like we'll do it one day, but like we haven't. And the amount of times we've tried, or like the amount of opportunity that there is to like get it right, you would think that like we would do it once at least. I didn't realize that story, and I don't recall the Argentinian guy, but I totally empathize with that. And it's like a step further for him, because like, you know, he's making an effort in a language that is his second language to like be a part of the community. And you're right, it's not naivety, it's just like straight up ignorance at this point. Because like if the goal is to grow the game in this country and bring people in, then like, is it? Because if it was, that we wouldn't be doing this still.